All right. Hey there, and welcome to today's episode. So, today I want to talk about the idea of what if we stopped treating anxiety like a disorder. And so, the reason I want to do that is because our collective narrative, especially in the West, is this idea that when anxiety is present, it shouldn't be. And that the presence of anxiety, especially on an ongoing basis, is a quote disorder. And you are implying that, of course, you're broken and you need to be fixed. And oftentimes that fixing comes with, a primary intervention of medication. Oftentimes medication that you're not really expected to get off of, right? And when you look at that as a whole, like that, the idea that that's a common path is kind of wild to me. So, what do I mean when I say, like, what if we stopped looking at anxiety as a disorder, right? Because it kind of, that might challenge some preconceived notions, right? You're just like, of course, anxiety disorder, of course, OCD is a disorder, Matt. It's called obsessive compulsive disorder, right? Of course, panic attacks are not good. But our preconceived notion that anxiety is a disorder and is bad and should not be experienced is what causes the resistance to it. And I would make the case that it's resistance actually that is the issue here, not the thing that's being resisted. And, as Young famously said, right? What you resist persists. And when you really grasp that idea, then it's like, okay, well, if I'm resisting anxiety and I don't think it should be here, and that resistance is the very cause of its persistence. I mean, just some quick math of if I eliminate the resistance, it would eliminate the persistence. Meaning that dropped, if I dropped, right, my belief, my relationship to fear as this is bad, this shouldn't be here, this needs to be removed, this needs to be treated, I'm broken, to fear is a normal human emotion, normal human experience, one that a collective experience that we all share. And so my find that like a collective experience we all share that's been perpetuated in this idea of like this is a disease, it's not normal. Yet everyone experiences it. Those two things, right, can't can't be true simultaneously, right? We can't have a collective experience that's completely normal for everyone that's abnormal, right? It doesn't mean it's comfortable. It doesn't mean it's pleasant to experience, but fear is a great messenger. Now the thing is a lot of times we project our fear outside of us. So fear, we believe the cause to be external. This is one of the ways that we then go into categorize all these subcategories of anxiety disorders. And, so we say, oh, I'm afraid of trees, or I'm afraid of water, I'm afraid of planes, I'm afraid of germs, I'm afraid of this idea, this, that, and the other. And as humans, when we don't want to confront something, one of our biggest defense mechanisms is projection. We see it out into the world. So when you see, for instance, if you look out into the world and you see a bunch of angry, pissed off people, more than likely that's a reflection of what you actually are, right? Now, with fear, what we do is we project the cause of fear outside of ourselves. So we project the cause of fear to, again, flying on planes, to touching doorknobs, to, this, that, and the other. But fear, again, is not caused externally. If it was caused externally, that same thing would cause fear for everyone, right? Because it would be cause and effect, like I always say. But fear is a projection from within. It exists within. And because it exists within and is something we all contend with, like, what if we stopped calling it a disorder? What if we stopped looking at fear as this disease that you have and that we need to suppress and get rid of so that you can kind of fall back in line and get back to work. And let's not even talk about why that's not a good intervention. Right? But the main idea here is that, like, our universal perspective of fear and what we experience the bodily experience we have called anxiety. Like, what if we challenged the idea that that was a disorder? And what if we actually made that into a normal experience? And not that we should accommodate everyone's fear, and I don't believe in that in any case whatsoever. We actually taught people that what they did is they projecting fear, and taught people how to confront fear bodily, to release fear, right, emotionally, to transcend fear, to face fear, right? Because of who you become through that process as you evolve yourself and grow into higher states of being, higher states of consciousness. And if you saw that, and fear was the bridge to that, imagine what we're doing when we condemn it and medicate it and try to get rid of it so that we can, quote, do whatever it is that we think we're supposed to do other than face fear. And so we just put it off, right? We hide from it, we run from it, we avoid it, right? That's what most people do with fear. And they get validated and told, oh, well, they have this disorder and this, that, and it's and the issue is that it totally, in my perspective, is not a disorder. Now, running from fear and resisting fear can create disorder in your life. I can tell you all about that firsthand, right? Um, you know, and so for those of you that read my book, or we have our free guides and some of the stuff that we have on our site, right? You can check that out as well. I'll tell you all about what it's like to run from fear and get in chaos and being stuck in the loop. I know that quite well. I also know what it's like to transcend it, though. And one of the central reasons that we get stuck is because we have an inherent belief that it's bad and that it's not supposed to be here. So then that creates resistance, and then that creates the persistence of the loop in your life. And then that will create a self-fulfilling idea that this is this permanent thing that I have, not realizing the only reason that you're stuck in it is because of your resistance to it. And if we drop that idea that this should be resisted and it shouldn't be here, that drops the resistance, which then drops the persistence. It allows it to be transcended. Now, is there skills, tools, resources, all that for that process? Of course, yeah. I'm not trying to say that it's that easy. But as a central idea, with the what if questions that we get caught in, the number one thing that we don't ask is, what if we started to see anxiety as normal? What if we stopped calling it a disorder collectively? What if when someone experienced anxiety, we saw it for what it was, as the bridge for that person to transcend something, to become a better version of themselves? What if you saw it like that for you? What if you saw, when anxiety surfaces, that that's your opportunity, your gateway to the person you're supposed to become? And it's going through fear that the unfoldment happens. Not around it, not running from it, not hiding from it, but it's fear itself that offers the transformation. Then we would see it differently. We wouldn't call it a disorder. We wouldn't first run to medicate ourselves from it. We wouldn't do things to make sure that it doesn't get triggered up and create safe spaces and all this stuff, because we would embrace that life is about growing and evolution, and for that to happen, we have to confront discomfort. Not all the time, but certainly it's part of the journey. And normalizing the experience enables people to become who they're meant to become, as opposed to confining them and saying, be who we think you need to be. Be who you're told to be. So it's just some food for thought today. And sit with that question in your life. Whether we don't do it as a society or not, then that's not really like, it's not necessarily the mission I'm aiming to go on right now. But you can do it as you as an individual. And just maybe that's a question you start with this week. Is like, what if I stopped looking at anxiety as a disorder? What if I chose to take that stance? I know it's in opposition of the masses. Great. That's okay. Some of the greatest things in life you're ever going to do are going to be opposition of the masses. Masses sure aren't the, when you look at the collective, you just, generally speaking, they're not going in the direction you really should be going, right? Speaking very generally, of course. But for you as an individual, start with that question this week. See where it takes you. With that, wishing you a great day and a great week, and I'll talk to you soon. Hey there, thanks so much for watching that episode. If you found it helpful, we have some links to some other episodes that we think you might like as well. And if you're looking for help on your journey to recovery from fear, stress, and anxiety, either check out the links in the notes or head over to restoredminds.com. Thank you, and talk to you soon.